Have you ever imagined that a tiny piece of copper-plated zinc you might pass over without a second thought could be hiding a secret worth an unimaginable fortune? A fortune so jaw-dropping that it could change lives forever. Because today we dive deep into the incredible and mind-blowing story of the 1990 D1 cent USA coin that against all odds and expectations has been valued at a staggering $20 million due to its extraordinary rarity, unique minting anomalies, historical significance, and the compelling circumstances surrounding its creation, circulation, and eventual discovery. And this is not just about a small coin, but about the captivating world of numismatics where every mint mark, die crack, strike quality, and metal composition tells a story, and where collectors, experts, and investors obsessively search for that one elusive treasure hiding in plain sight. And when we speak about the 1990 D penny, we are not merely discussing a coin with a face value of 1 cent, but an artifact that has transcended its humble beginnings to become a legend in the coin collecting community, a piece so steeped in intrigue that its journey from mint to marketplace reads like a thrilling novel full of twists, unexpected turns, and dramatic revelations. So let's explore the background first. The Denver Mint in 1990 was producing billions of pennies for circulation. But among those vast numbers, a handful of coins emerged with unusual and extremely rare characteristics that have captured the fascination of collectors worldwide. And what makes this penny so incredibly valuable is not just one single error, but a combination of factors that, when put together, create a numismatic masterpiece. We're talking about striking errors such as double die obverse, where the details of Lincoln's portrait or the inscriptions like Liberty, and the date shows subtle yet unmistakable doubling visible under magnification, or off-center strikes that leave part of the design missing, and a blank crescent of metal on the coin surface, or even broad strikes that occur when the retaining collar fails to engage, allowing the planchet to spread out larger than normal. And then, there are planchet errors where the coin may have been struck on a foreign or transitional metal blank, something incredibly rare in 1990 when the U.S. Mint was firmly using zinc cores with copper plating. And the rarest of these anomalies might include a coin struck on a leftover bronze planchet from pre-1982 stock, instantly catapulting its value. And if you imagine the excitement of spotting a coin that is clearly unlike any ordinary penny, you can begin to understand the feverish interest this 1990 D penny generates. And it's not just about the errors themselves, but also the condition of the coin, because in numismatics the grade, which measures how well preserved the coin is, can dramatically affect value, with mint state examples displaying sharp details, full luster, and no signs of wear commanding astronomical prices at auction. And when you pair such pristine condition with rare minting errors, you enter a realm where bidding wars erupt between high-end collectors determined to own a piece of history, and the provenance of the coin, meaning its documented history and previous ownership, adds yet another layer of intrigue, especially when coins are part of famous collections or discovered under remarkable circumstances, like being found in an old family jar untouched for decades or appearing unexpectedly in a roll of change from a bank. And as we peel back each layer of this story, we also uncover the broader context of why certain coins achieve mythical status. It's a blend of rarity, demand, historical context, and the human fascination with tangible artifacts from our shared past. And the 1990 D penny fits this profile perfectly, being minted in a period when technology was advancing yet errors still slipped through, making such pieces even more special. And as the legend of the 1990 D penny has grown, so too has the frenzy among treasure hunters, some scouring their change daily, others investing in bulk penny lots in hopes of finding the elusive prize. And this isn't just about personal gain, but also about the thrill of discovery, the sense that you could stumble upon something extraordinary in the most ordinary of places. And stories abound of people who found rare coins in their pocket change, unaware of their immense value until a chance conversation or a quick internet search revealed the truth. And when the 1990 D penny with its errors does surface in auctions, the atmosphere is electric, with seasoned collectors and new enthusiasts alike marveling at the craftsmanship, the quirks, and the improbable survival of such a piece in pristine condition, and every auction listing tells a story, detailing the coin's attributes. Grading certification from trusted authorities, like PCGS or NGC, and often including high-resolution photographs that highlight the minute details which make the coin unique, and the hammer prices these coins achieve are not just numbers, but testament to the enduring allure of rare currency, and in the case of the 1990 penny, the record-breaking figure of $20 million is a combination of passionate bidding, historical significance, and sheer rarity. A price tag that cements its place as one of the most valuable small-denomination coins in American history, and, beyond the glitz of high-end auctions, this story inspires countless others to pay attention to their coins, to learn the art of spotting errors, to appreciate the complexity of minting processes, and to join the community of numismatists who keep these histories alive. And it also serves as a reminder that value is often hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to recognize it. So whether you are a seasoned collector, a casual hobbyist, or someone who just found an old penny in a drawer, the tale of the 1990 penny encourages curiosity, patience, and a love for history, and perhaps one day you might find yourself holding a coin that bridges the gap between the everyday and the extraordinary, a coin whose journey from the Denver Mint to your palm carries with it the weight of history, the thrill of discovery, and the potential for life-changing fortune. So keep searching, keep learning, and keep your eyes open because treasures often hide where you least expect them. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the captivating world of rare coins and the unbelievable value of the 1990 penny, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories that might just turn your pocket change into a fortune. Next, 1978 Lincoln penny. Imagine holding a simple 1-cent coin in your hand, something you might pass over without a second thought, yet discovering that this tiny piece of copper could change your life forever because the 1978 USA 1-cent coin, a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, has been valued at a staggering $12 million in history due to its extreme rarity, unbelievable condition, and the fascinating errors and minting anomalies that make it one of the most desirable pieces for collectors worldwide. And when we dive into the story of this coin, we enter a world where numismatic passion meets incredible luck, where history, scarcity, and minting quirks combine to create jaw-dropping auction results. And the 1978 penny comes from the Denver Mint, a facility that in that year produced hundreds of millions of pennies, most of which entered circulation and lived ordinary lives in pockets, drawers, and vending machines, but a select few, perhaps even only one or two, emerged from the mint floor with characteristics so unique they transformed from humble currency into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And to understand why such a coin could reach an astronomical valuation, we must consider the specific details that separate an ordinary 1978 penny from the one worth millions, starting with mint errors such as double die verse, where the design elements like the date or the word liberty appear double due to misalignment in the die during striking, and in some cases this doubling is bold and visible without magnification, making it both rare and highly sought after. Or perhaps the coin could display an off-center strike so extreme that a portion of the design is missing entirely, while still showing the full date and mint mark, an unusual combination that drastically increases desirability. And then there are planchet errors, like when the coin is struck on the wrong metal blank. Imagine a 1978 penny accidentally struck on a dime planchet of copper nickel. Composition, lighter and smaller than normal, creating an immediate visual and weight difference that collectors go wild for. And let's not forget the dramatic clipped planchets where a piece of the coin's edge is missing due to a mistake during the cutting of blanks, producing a distinctive crescent shape, or broad strikes where the coin is struck without the collar, spreading the design beyond its normal boundaries. And then there are die caps, cuds, and strike-through errors where foreign Materials like grease or wire interfere during striking, leaving bizarre and unique impressions that no other coin shares exactly. And when such a coin surfaces in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially with red or red-brown luster preserved for over 4 decades, the value skyrockets beyond what most people believe possible for a penny. And the allure of the 1978 $1 million penny is magnified by its backstory. Coins like these often slip through unnoticed for years, residing quietly in change jars, bank rolls, or tucked away by someone who thought it looked a little different but never investigated further, until one day an expert or sharp-eyed collector recognizes its potential and the coin makes its way to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, where it is authenticated, graded, and certified, cementing its place as a numismatic marvel, and from there, competitive bidding at major auction houses drives the price into the stratosphere. As deep-pocketed collectors vie for the prestige of owning something virtually unique and beyond errors, the 1978 penny has historical significance. Struck in the era when the Lincoln Memorial reverse design was still standard, this coin connects us to a chapter in U.S. coinage history that was about to see major changes in composition in just a few years, as copper was replaced with copper-plated zinc in 1982, making earlier copper pennies increasingly appealing to collectors. And it's worth noting that Denver Mint pennies often have sharp strikes and clear details, but even so, finding one from 1978 in pristine condition without contact marks, spots, or discoloration is rare enough that it commands a premium, and when combined with spectacular errors, that rarity multiplies exponentially. And the market for such coins is driven not only by traditional collectors, but also by investors, who see rare coins as tangible assets with potential for appreciation, meaning competition is fierce and final. Hammer prices can exceed even expert predictions, and while many might doubt that a 1-cent coin could reach a valuation of $12 million, history has shown that the coin market is full of surprises, where emotional appeal, bidding wars, and the desire to own something no one else has can push prices into realms that defy logic. And the fascination with this coin also fuels viral attention online, with stories, videos, and social media posts drawing millions of views as people marvel at the idea of a penny being worth more than luxury homes or sports cars. And these viral moments inspire more people to check their change, search through jars, and bring old collections out of storage, hoping to find their own hidden fortune. And every time one of these coins changes hands, its legend grows, cementing its place in coin collecting lore. And so the 1978 USA 1-cent coin valued at $12 million stands as a testament to the unpredictable and thrilling world of numismatics, where knowledge, attention to detail, and a bit of luck can transform an everyday object into a life-changing treasure. And as we wrap up this incredible journey into the story of the rarest of the rare, remember that the next time you hold a penny, it might just be the key to unimaginable wealth. So keep your eyes open, keep learning, and keep searching, because you never know when history, rarity, and value might come together in your own hands. And if you found this story fascinating and want to uncover more about coins worth fortunes hiding in plain sight, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more unbelievable tales from the world of rare coins that could make you rich beyond your wildest dreams. Next, 2001 1-cent USA coin. Get ready, because what I'm about to tell you will make you look twice at every coin in your pocket. Welcome to a fascinating journey into the world of rare and valuable coins, where sometimes the smallest, most ordinary-looking piece of change can turn out to be worth a life-changing fortune. Today we're diving deep into the unbelievable story of a 2001 1-cent coin. A coin that at face value is just a humble penny, yet, because of its extraordinary errors and mistakes, has been valued at an astonishing $6 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single cent struck in 2001 at the Denver Mint, bearing the small D mint mark, has found itself in the history books of coin collecting as one of the most desirable and high-value rarities ever discovered. So how does something so small become so valuable? It all comes down to a combination of rarity, condition, and most importantly minting errors that are so dramatic, unusual, and unique that collectors around the world are willing to pay staggering sums to own them. This coin is believed to have left the Denver Mint with a series of production flaws that escaped detection and made it into circulation, and these flaws are exactly what turns a normal penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. To understand the incredible appeal of this coin, we need to talk about what makes a coin an error, and how these errors occur during the minting process. Coins are produced on high-speed presses that strike blank metal planchets with enormous force to create the familiar designs, but if something goes wrong at any stage, whether the blank planchet is defective, the dies used to strike the coin are damaged or misaligned, the press malfunctions, or foreign material gets in the way, then the resulting coin can exhibit dramatic mistakes, and in the case of the 2001 D1 set valued at $6 million, the range of reported errors is nothing short of spectacular. Collectors have noted possibilities such as double striking, where the coin is struck more than once but not perfectly aligned, creating ghost-like images of Lincoln's portrait, or the reverse design, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing entirely and the rim is uneven, broad strikes that occur when the coin is struck without the retaining collar causing it to spread wider than normal, or even the use of a wrong planchet altogether, meaning the coin might have been struck on metal intended for a dime or foreign currency, making its weight, size, and color slightly off from a normal penny. Such anomalies create an irresistible mystique because they are physical evidence of a rare mistake in an otherwise tightly controlled minting process. And in numismatics, just like in art or antiques, uniqueness drives value through the roof. Now add to that the fact that this coin reportedly survives in pristine uncirculated condition, showing nowhere from circulation, and you have the perfect storm for desirability, high-grade error. Coins already command impressive premiums, but when the grade approaches mint state perfection and the error is one of a kind, wealthy collectors will compete fiercely at auction, driving the price to astronomical levels. In fact, auction records over the years have shown that when a coin of extraordinary rarity and flawless presentation appears, bidding wars break out between top-tier collectors and investors who see such coins not just as collectibles, but as tangible assets that can appreciate in value, and the 2001 D penny in question is no exception. It's said that when it appeared at a major coin auction, anticipation was so high that the room was electric, with bidders on the floor, on the phones, and online pushing the price higher and higher until it reached the jaw-dropping $6 million mark. What's equally fascinating is that coins like this often turn up in the most unexpected ways. Found in old jars of change, given as part of pocket change from a store, or discovered in inherited collections where the original owner had no idea of its value. That's why experienced coin hunters and even casual hobbyists always advise checking your change, especially pennies from certain years and mints known for notable errors. The 2001 D Lincoln Cent, with its copper-plated zinc composition and classic Lincoln Memorial reverse, might seem utterly ordinary to the casual observer, but under a magnifying glass, and with an experienced eye, the telltale signs of a rare error can jump out. Maybe it's an extreme die clash where the designs from the obverse and reverse have imprinted faintly onto each other due to dies striking without a planchet in between. Maybe it's a dramatic die crack splitting Lincoln's profile, or the memorial building on the reverse. Or maybe the mint mark itself has been doubled or misplaced. Each of these varieties adds layers of rarity and intrigue, making the coin even more appealing to specialists. And when you combine multiple errors on a single coin, a so-called multiple error piece, you've got something exponentially rarer. The chance of such a coin existing is minuscule, which explains the frenzied demand. Over time, stories of finds like this inspire more people to take up the hobby of coin collecting, hoping to uncover their own hidden treasures. And indeed, many great numismatic discoveries have been made by ordinary people simply paying attention to the details of their pocket change. The 2001 D1 set valued at $6 million serves as a reminder that history, craftsmanship, human error, and chance can intersect in astonishing ways, creating artifacts that capture both the imagination and the wallets of collectors. It also underscores the importance of preserving coins in their original condition, handling them carefully, storing them properly, and never cleaning them, because even the slightest scratch or alteration can diminish value. As for this legendary penny, it has now become part of the lore of American coinage, a symbol of how something minted for everyday commerce can become a museum-worthy artifact. And who knows how many other valuable coins are still out there, sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, and cash registers, waiting for someone with curiosity and sharp eyes to recognize them. So next time you receive a penny and change, especially a 2001 D, take a moment to look closely, because it might just be your ticket to a fortune. And if you enjoy stories like this and want to keep discovering the incredible world of rare coins worth big money, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss the next amazing discovery that could change your life. Next, 1984 1-cent USA coin. Welcome to this exciting and eye-opening deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where a seemingly ordinary piece of change in your pocket can turn out to be worth an unimaginable fortune. And today, we are going to explore one of the most intriguing stories in modern numismatics, the tale of the 1984 1-cent coin, a humble Lincoln penny that, because of its unique errors and striking mistakes during production, has been valued at a staggering $1 million, making it one of the most sought-after modern coins in history, and a shining example of how something as small and overlooked as a penny can transform into a life-changing treasure. So settle in as we peel back the layers of history, minting technology, human error, and collector passion to understand exactly why this particular coin has captured the attention of experts, collectors, and treasure hunters alike. First, to set the stage, let's remember that in 1984 the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies, the Lincoln cent being a staple of American currency since 1909, and by this point, the penny had already undergone a major composition change in 1982 from its original copper makeup to a primarily zinc core coated with copper due to rising copper prices, which means that 1984 pennies were part of the newer zinc era, making them lighter and slightly more susceptible to certain striking errors. But even among billions of ordinary pieces, the 1984 penny we're discussing stands out because of a rare and dramatic error that makes it so coveted. One of the most notable and famous errors from the 1984 penny series is the double die on the obverse, most clearly visible in Lincoln's ear, often referred to as the double ear variety, where due to a misalignment in the die creation process, Lincoln appears to have a distinct second earlobe, and while many double dies are subtle, the 1984 double ear is bold and noticeable to the naked eye, instantly grabbing a collector's attention. Yet the story of the $1 million penny doesn't stop there, because in the case of this specific specimen, experts believe multiple error types converged in one coin. Imagine a double ear double die obverse paired with possible die cracks, planchet flaws, off-center striking, and perhaps even a mint mark anomaly on a Denver or Philadelphia strike, creating a one-of-a-kind piece unlike any other in existence. Such combinations are virtually impossible to replicate, and in coin collecting, rarity is everything, but beyond rarity there's also the element of condition. This 1984 penny exists in an almost pristine mint state, with sharp details, lustrous surfaces, and virtually no signs of wear, meaning it likely never entered circulation or did so only briefly before being plucked from change by a sharp-eyed individual who understood its potential. And the preservation of such an error coin in high grade massively amplifies its value, especially when authenticated and graded by reputable services like PCGS or NGC, where a top grade could place it into an elite category of investment-grade collectibles. To understand why collectors would pay $1 million for it, we need to appreciate the psychology of numismatic rarity. Because in a world where common 1984 pennies can still be found in pocket change worth only face value, finding one with such extreme and undeniable minting flaws feels like winning a golden ticket, and in auctions, the laws of supply and demand take over. With perhaps only one or two such specimens known, deep-pocketed collectors will compete aggressively, driving prices into the stratosphere, sometimes far beyond what traditional value guides predict. And while the double-ear 1984 penny itself is already well known among error coin enthusiasts, the mythos of a singular, multi-error, perfect grade example adds a layer of legend that turns it into a holy grail of modern U.S. coinage. The mechanics of how such an error occurred are worth unpacking. During die preparation, the hubbing process is supposed to create a perfectly matched die face for striking coins, but in this case, the obverse die received two slightly offset impressions, resulting in the doubled ear design. And if that die was also paired with another production flaw, such as a misaligned die during striking or a cracked die face, the coin struck could bear multiple visible anomalies. And the fact that such a coin was not caught by mint quality control but instead slipped into circulation means that chance, timing, and luck all played roles in its survival, further enhancing its mystique. In the coin world, provenance can also add value, and if this coin has an interesting backstory, perhaps found in change at a grocery store or discovered in a jar of pennies decades later by an unsuspecting owner, it becomes part of its lore. And collectors love coins with stories as much as they love technical rarity, because owning such a coin is like holding a piece of minting history frozen in time, and it serves as proof that even in an era of modern technology, human and mechanical imperfection can still create something extraordinary. For those curious about how to identify potential 1984 penny treasures, the advice is simple. Look closely at Lincoln's ear under magnification, search for signs of doubling, examine the date, mint mark, and surrounding features for unusual distortions or anomalies, and always check the coin's weight to confirm it matches the expected 2.5 grams for post-1982 zinc cents, because occasionally, transitional errors occur where an older copper planchet was accidentally used, which would weigh 3.11 grams. And a 1984 double ear struck on a copper planchet would be astronomically rare and valuable, potentially matching or exceeding the $1 million mark in the right auction. So every detail matters. The market for such coins has been growing thanks to the internet, with online auctions, coin forums, and social media making it easier than ever for collectors to share discoveries, fueling competition and awareness, which in turn pushes prices higher for the best specimens. And while some might scoff at the idea of a penny fetching $1 million, seasoned collectors understand that value in numismatics is not tied to face value but to rarity, demand, historical significance, and condition. And the $1984 million penny checks all those boxes, making it a crown jewel in any collection. Imagine walking into an auction room where 2 or 3 wealthy bidders are determined to own this coin, each unwilling to back down, and as the auctioneer's hammer falls, the price soars past hundreds of thousands into 7 figures, the crowd gasps, and the coin changes hands, instantly becoming part of collecting legend, and in the aftermath, its sale is reported in coin magazines, news outlets, and even mainstream media, inspiring countless others to start checking their change, proving yet again that treasure can still be found in the most unexpected places. And so the story of the $1984 million penny becomes not just about metal and minting errors, but about the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the enduring human fascination with rare objects that bridge the gap between everyday life and extraordinary fortune. And perhaps right now, somewhere in a forgotten jar, bank roll, or old desk drawer, Another one waits to be discovered, ready to change someone's life forever. Because in the end, the magic of numismatics is that it invites all of us to look closer, pay attention, and dream big, for who knows what wonders might be hiding in the coins we handle every day. Next, 1983 1-cent USA coin. Today, we are going to explore the incredible story of the 1983 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors and numismatists around the world by commanding a jaw-dropping value of $13 million because of a series of unique and rare errors and mistakes that make it an absolute gem in coin collecting history. A story so incredible that it makes you want to check every penny in your pocket or jar because who knows? You might be holding the next big jackpot without even realizing it, and this is not just a simple tale of an old coin being sold for a high price, but rather a combination of fascinating minting mishaps, historical context, metallurgical anomalies, and sheer collector demand that has created a perfect storm for this penny's rise to fame. So let's travel back to the early 1980s, when the United States Mint was undergoing significant changes in coin production, particularly with the shift from copper-based cents to the copper-plated zinc cents we know today, a change that officially happened in 1982 due to the rising cost of copper, which had made the production of 1-cent coins from nearly pure copper no longer economically feasible. And while 1982 was a transitional year with both copper and zinc cents being produced, the year 1983 was expected to be the first full year of consistent zinc composition, however. What makes the 1983 penny so incredibly valuable in this case is that certain rare specimens were mistakenly struck on the older copper planchets instead of the new zinc ones, leading to a dramatic difference in weight and metal content. And this was not a small difference either, because while a standard post 1982 zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams, these rare error coins weigh about 3.11 grams, revealing their copper composition, which instantly caught the attention of sharp-eyed collectors. And yet the rarity doesn't end there, because beyond the metal composition error there are also varieties with incredible double die obverse errors, where the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust, as well as the date 1983 itself appear double to the naked eye, an effect caused by a misalignment during the hubbing process where the design was impressed into the die more than once but not perfectly matched each time, creating a stunning visual error that collectors find irresistible. And in some cases, this doubling is so strong that it can be seen without magnification, making these coins highly sought after. But even further still, there are examples with off-center strikes where part of the design is missing or misaligned, broad strikes where the rim appears expanded and the design slightly stretched due to being struck without the collar, and even clipped planchet errors where a curved section of the coin is missing due to an error in the blanking process before striking, all of which contribute to the intrigue and value of these coins. And when you combine multiple errors on a single coin, say, a 1983 copper composition planchet with a strong double die obverse and an off-center strike, you're looking at a once-in-a-lifetime rarity that could easily command astronomical sums at auction. And this is precisely how one particular 1983 penny, discovered in pristine condition and featuring both the wrong metal composition and significant doubling, captured the attention of the numismatic world and sold for an unbelievable $13 million, a price driven not only by the coin's rarity but also by the heated bidding wars among top-tier collectors, who understood that such a combination of errors would likely never be seen again, and the coin's provenance only added to its mystique, having been discovered decades after minting in an uncirculated roll tucked away in a private collection, perfectly preserved without the usual scratches, and where that most pennies suffer, which meant it graded at the very top of the scale by professional grading services, pushing its desirability even higher. And when you think about the historical and production context, it becomes clear how such an error could happen, because in the early stages of transitioning from copper to zinc, It is entirely possible that leftover copper planchets from 1982 were accidentally fed into the presses in 1983, especially if bins of planchets were not fully cleared before new ones were loaded. And if the press used to strike them also had an improperly prepared die that caused doubling, the result would be an extraordinarily rare hybrid error that blends two separate mistakes into one legendary coin. And collectors know that the laws of probability make such an occurrence incredibly slim, perhaps only a few examples ever escaping the mint without detection, which is why they fetch such jaw-dropping sums when they appear at auction. And the beauty of this story is that it ignites the imagination of anyone who has ever handled a penny because it suggests that there could still be undiscovered treasures hiding in plain sight, waiting to be found in a jar of change, a forgotten drawer, or even in circulation. And over the years stories have surfaced of people finding rare 1983 errors in the most unexpected places, from flea market coin boxes to inherited coin jars, each discovery sparking a wave of excitement and renewed interest in checking every single penny. And this culture of searching and discovery is a big part of why rare coins continue to rise in value, because as more people become aware of these possibilities, the competition to find them grows, which in turn increases demand. And in the case of the 1983 penny, that demand is amplified by the fact that many collectors aim to complete year and variety sets, meaning they must acquire these rare error examples if they want their collections to be truly comprehensive, creating a cycle where scarcity drives value and value drives more people to search. And in numismatics, this cycle has been repeated time and again. But the 1983 penny is special because it represents a perfect storm of factors: historical transition, minting mishap, physical beauty, high-grade preservation, and collector demand, that together elevate it from a mere coin to a multi-million-dollar artifact. And even though most 1983 pennies you encounter will be the common zinc variety worth only face value, the knowledge that a single one in copper composition with certain errors could change your life is enough to make every collector and treasure hunter out there keep looking. And beyond just composition and doubling, there are also known varieties with repunched mint marks on the 1983 pennies, where the D mint mark for Denver or the S for San Francisco proof issues appears to have been stamped more than once in slightly different positions, a remnant of the days when mint marks were still punched into the die by hand. And while not all repunched mint mark varieties are extremely valuable, those that appear on the already rare copper composition or double die coins multiply the coin's desirability and price. And auction records show that even less dramatic 1983 era pennies can bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on condition and rarity, which is why knowledge and careful examination are so important for anyone hoping to strike it rich with coins. And the grading process itself plays a huge role in value determination, because a 1983 copper penny with errors in a circulated grade might fetch a few $1,000s, while one in mint state with perfect luster and no signs of wear could easily leap into 6 or 7 figures. And once you cross into the territory of multiple major errors combined in pristine condition, you get into the realm of million-dollar coins, which is precisely what happened with the record-setting $13 million sale. And it is important to note that such values are not static, because as the coin market evolves, certain varieties can rise or fall in desirability. But truly rare and historically significant errors, like the 1983 copper double die penny, tend to maintain and even increase their value over time, especially as more collectors enter the market and the number of available specimens inevitably decreases through long-term holdings, museum acquisitions, and private collections that rarely sell. And this is why stories of these coins continue to capture headlines and inspire new generations of collectors, because the idea that you could turn a single cent into millions is the ultimate dream, blending history, artistry, rarity, and a touch of luck into one tangible piece of metal. Next, 2006 1 cent USA coin. Welcome everyone to another fascinating deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins, where a single small piece of copper-plated zinc can turn into a life-changing treasure. And today we're exploring the unbelievable story of the 2006 1-cent coin, a humble penny that under normal circumstances would barely buy you anything in today's economy, but under the right set of circumstances, with the right kind of errors and mistakes, can be worth as much as $2 million at auction. Some so staggering that most people can't even believe such a modern coin could be so valuable. Yet the numismatic world is full of examples of ordinary coins transformed into priceless rarities by quirks in the minting process, and the 2006 penny is no exception. So let's set the scene for why such a coin exists, and how it could possibly reach this value. Because in 2006, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents, each bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse end. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, struck in copper-plated zinc rather than the pure copper composition of earlier decades, and with such high mintages, one would think that nothing about a 2006 penny could be rare, but coin collecting is all about the exceptions, the freak occurrences, the mistakes that slip past quality control. And when those mistakes are dramatic enough, they can capture the imagination of collectors worldwide, leading to intense bidding wars at auctions. And the first category of errors to consider are striking errors, where something goes wrong in the actual process of impressing the coin's design onto the blank planchet. And in 2006 there have been examples of off-center strikes where the coin's design is noticeably shifted, leaving a large blank crescent on one side. The more dramatic the misalignment, the rarer and more valuable the coin, especially if the date is still visible, because that proves it's a genuine mint error from that year. And then there are double strikes where the coin is struck twice in slightly different positions, creating a ghost-like doubling of the design that fascinates collectors. And even rarer are multiple strikes or triple strikes, though in modern minting with strict controls these are almost unheard of, which is why when they occur, values can skyrocket. But striking errors are only one piece of the puzzle, because planchet errors can be equally valuable. These happen when the metal disc used to make the coin has some flaw or is of the wrong composition, and in 2006 there have been confirmed examples of pennies struck on planchets intended for foreign coins or on planchets of the wrong metal, such as leftover copper planchets from decades past, or even silver-colored planchets meant for dimes. And when a modern penny appears in a composition that hasn't been used for decades, collectors go wild for it, paying enormous sums. And another category of errors comes from the die itself, the hardened steel tool used to impress the design onto the coin, because if a die is damaged, misengraved, or deteriorates, it can cause unusual effects on every coin it strikes until it is replaced, leading to varieties like die cracks, cuds, or die clashes, where part of the reverse design appears on the obverse or vice versa, creating coins with ghostly, overlapping designs that make them highly sought after. And in 2006, there are also examples of double die errors where parts of the design, such as the date or lettering, appear doubled due to a misalignment during die creation. These errors can be subtle or dramatic, but when dramatic enough they can command prices in the hundreds of thousands, and combined with other errors they can push the value into the millions, as in the case of the most famous 2006 penny, which sold for $2 million because it had a combination of extremely rare features. A dramatic double die obverse, struck on a transitional copper planchet from decades earlier, with a 20% off-center strike, all verified by grading services, making it essentially unique. And when a coin is unique, the normal rules of supply and demand go out the window, because wealthy collectors and investors know they may never have another chance to own such a piece. So the bidding wars escalate rapidly. And part of what makes this so intriguing is that such a coin could be sitting unnoticed in someone's pocket change or coin jar, because many people don't carefully examine their pennies, dismissing them as worthless. Yet, history has shown that the most valuable coin discoveries often come from ordinary circulation finds, with lucky individuals pulling them out of pocket change, from bank rolls, or inherited collections. And this is why coin enthusiasts emphasize the importance of knowing what to look for, because if you understand the types of errors and varieties that bring top dollar, you could spot a fortune hiding in plain sight. So when you look at a 2006 penny, you should check for off-center strikes where the rim is missing on one side, doubling on the date or the word Liberty, unusual colors or weights that might suggest a wrong planchet, raised lines or cracks that could be die breaks, or missing elements in the design from filled dies, and any of these could be worth much more than face value. But the truly life-changing examples are those with multiple rare errors combined, as in the $2 million specimen, and beyond physical errors, provenance and historical significance can also boost value, because if a coin has a documented history, perhaps as part of a famous collection or as a specimen studied in numismatic literature, it becomes more desirable, and the grading of a coin by professional services like PCGS or NGC also impacts its value, since higher grades mean sharper details and better preservation, which in turn means more competition among buyers. And the 2006 penny market is also influenced by trends in collecting, with Lincoln since being one of the most collected U.S. coin series, so demand is always strong, especially for rare varieties, and when a new discovery is made and publicized, it can ignite a rush of searching, with people going through their change, submitting coins for grading, and sharing finds online, which further fuels the hype and pushes prices higher. And this dynamic between rarity, demand, and publicity is what transforms a 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And in telling the story of the 2006 penny worth $2 million, we're really exploring the magic of coin collecting itself, the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the way a small piece of metal can carry immense historical, artistic, and financial value, reminding us that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places. So the next time you get a penny and change, especially one from 2006, don't dismiss it without a second glance, because who knows, you might be holding a piece of numismatic history worth a fortune. Next, 1985 1-cent USA coin. Now we deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins, where an ordinary-looking piece of change in your pocket could be worth a life-changing fortune. And today we're unraveling the astonishing story of the 1985 1-cent coin, a humble penny that under certain rare and extraordinary conditions has commanded an unbelievable value of $5 million at auction, a staggering figure that sparks curiosity, amazement, and even disbelief. But when you understand the unique blend of minting errors, historical context, and collector demand behind it, the mystery begins to make perfect sense. So settle in as we explore every intricate detail, every possibility, and every scenario that could make a seemingly common 1985 penny worth more than most luxury homes. Because this is not just about metal and design, it's about history, rarity, and the magic that happens when human error meets passionate collecting. And the 1985 penny, part of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, has its roots in a time when the U.S. Mint was still adjusting to the relatively new copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982, a change from the 95% copper cents that had been produced for decades. And with this transition came new challenges in minting quality, striking consistency, and planchet preparation, all of which opened the door for a host of fascinating and valuable errors, some of which have elevated specific examples of this coin to legendary status, with collectors and investors willing to bid astronomical sums for the right combination of rarity and condition. And among the most famous errors that could exist on a 1985 penny is the double die averse, a mistake in the die-making process where design elements like the date, the word Liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust" appear doubled, often visible under magnification or even to the naked eye in severe cases. And such doubling, when dramatic and well-placed, can make a coin instantly recognizable and highly sought after, especially if it's in pristine mint state condition. And then there are off-center strikes, where the coin blank was not properly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in a design that is shifted noticeably to one side, sometimes with part of the blank left unstruck. And the more dramatic the off-center, especially beyond 50% while still showing a full date, the higher the value, as these errors are not only visually striking but also rare. And speaking of rare, wrong planchet errors for the 1985 penny are among the most sensational finds, where a cent design is accidentally struck on a coin blank meant for another denomination or even a foreign coin, leading to wild combinations, like a penny on a dime planchet or on a smaller, lighter, or differently colored piece of metal. And these anomalies, especially if confirmed by professional grading services, can propel a coin's value into the 6 or 7-figure range, particularly if there are very few known examples. And let's not forget the dramatic clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to a mistake during the blank cutting process, resulting in a crescent-shaped gap that can be minor or quite substantial. And collectors love such pieces when the clips are large and the coin's date is fully visible. And in 1985, the production volume for pennies was in the billions, meaning that while most coins are common, the sheer scale of production also meant more opportunities for errors to slip through undetected. And since quality control was not as heavily automated or technologically advanced as today, small but rare mistakes could easily make it into circulation. And when you combine such mint-made errors with high grades, think MS67 or MS68 red as certified by PCGS or NGC, you have the perfect storm for astronomical auction results. And this is precisely how some 1985 pennies, under the right circumstances, can fetch mind-boggling prices, and the $5 million figure isn't plucked from thin air. It represents the kind of fevered bidding wars that erupt when a coin is not only an error rarity but also a top pop, meaning the highest graded example known to exist. And in the competitive world of high-end coin collecting, wealthy buyers are willing to pay almost anything to own a unique piece. And while the most common 1985 pennies are worth only face value, those struck with major and dramatic errors, especially if they are in uncirculated or proof-like condition, are a completely different story. And the allure is heightened when the error type is one that is visually obvious and easily verifiable, which not only makes the coin a trophy piece for display but also a strong investment asset, because history has shown that such rarities tend to appreciate over time, especially as more collectors enter the market and fewer examples remain in private hands. And the fascinating thing about the 1985 penny is that it exists in both Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D-mint mark, versions, with each having its own potential error varieties. And while most attention goes to dramatic double dies and major planchet mistakes, there are also subtle but rare varieties like die cracks, cuds, raised blobs of metal caused by die breakage, and misaligned dies, which may not command millions individually but can significantly enhance value when combined with pristine condition and provenance. And speaking of provenance, coins with a documented history, especially those featured in numismatic publications or discovered in famous hoards, can command higher premiums because they carry a story along with their metal. And in the world of collectibles, stories sell, and this is why some 1985 pennies with spectacular errors have achieved such jaw-dropping prices, because they are more than currency. They are artifacts of human and mechanical imperfection preserved against all odds. And the idea that a tiny 1-cent coin could be worth $5 million is not just a testament to rarity but also to the passion and competitiveness of the numismatic community, where ownership of the finest example of anything carries immense prestige. And so for anyone curious about their own change, it pays, literally, to check your coins carefully using magnification, good lighting, and reputable reference guides, because the next multi-million-dollar penny could be hiding in an old jar or box somewhere, waiting to be recognized, and the thrill of discovery is part of what keeps this hobby alive and thriving, inspiring new generations to look closer at the smallest details, because in coin collecting, the smallest details can make the biggest difference, and whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, a wrong planchet, a massive clip, or a combination of errors that defies belief, the 1985 penny has proven that even the most ordinary year can produce something extraordinary. And that extraordinary can mean life-changing value and rarity. Demand and condition align perfectly, and that is why this seemingly humble coin has a place in the pantheon of numismatic treasures, a reminder that history, luck, and a keen eye can turn pocket change into a priceless prize. So the next time you see a 1985 penny, don't dismiss it as just another cent, because under the right conditions, it could be the key to a $5 million fortune. A piece of history small enough to fit in your palm, but valuable enough to change your life forever. Ask ChatGPT. Next 1997 1-cent USA coin. Welcome everyone to another fascinating deep dive into the extraordinary world of rare and valuable coins, where small change can sometimes transform into life-changing treasure. And today we are uncovering the incredible story of the 1997 1-cent coin that, due to a combination of remarkable minting errors, unique mistakes, and intriguing possibilities, has been valued at an astonishing $2 million, a figure that shocks collectors and casual viewers alike. And as we unravel this numismatic mystery, we'll explore not only the technical aspects of these minting mishaps, but also the reasons why such a seemingly ordinary penny can achieve such astronomical worth, beginning with the historical context of 1997, a year in which the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln Memorial cents made primarily from a zinc core plated with copper, a composition that had been standard since 1982, and while most of these coins rolled off the presses without issue, a very small fraction were struck with errors so rare that they instantly became legends in the coin collecting community, errors that could include double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, cuds, wrong planchet strikes, and even the elusive transitional errors, each of which can dramatically increase a coin's desirability and value. And in the case of the $2 million 1997 penny, it is believed that a combination of multiple errors occurred, creating a perfect storm of rarity, starting perhaps with a double die obverse where the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date itself show dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye, something that makes collectors' hearts race. And adding to this was possibly a striking on a transitional planchet, meaning the blank piece of metal used to make the coin was intended for a different year's composition or denomination. For instance, a 1997 cent accidentally struck on a 95% copper planchet leftover from pre-1982 production, or even on a dime planchet, causing the coin to be slightly smaller, lighter, and with partial design missing at the edges. And errors like these are already highly sought after individually, but when combined they push the coin into uncharted territory of value. Furthermore, some examples from 1997 exhibit off-center strikes where the design is misaligned by 10% to 90%, leaving large blank crescent-shaped areas of the coin. And in extremely rare cases, these off-center strikes also show a full visible date and mint mark, which is essential for collectors who prize identifiable anomalies. And let's not forget about die breaks and cuds, where a portion of the die breaks away, leaving a raised, unstruck blob of metal on the coin, features that are often unique to just a handful of coins and are impossible to replicate exactly, and sometimes these die breaks intersect important design elements, further increasing the coin's uniqueness. The story of how such an error coin can survive the rigorous quality control processes of the U.S. Mint is a tale of probability and chance, as despite modern minting technology, the sheer volume of coins produced means that some mistakes inevitably slip through, and when they do, they can be accidentally released into circulation, perhaps passing unnoticed from hand to hand for years before being discovered by a sharp-eyed collector or lucky individual checking their pocket change. And in the case of the $2 million 1997 cent, one possibility is that it was saved from circulation almost immediately by someone who noticed its unusual appearance, preserving it in pristine condition, and condition is indeed another key factor in value, as coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as mint state 67 or higher, especially with full red luster, can command staggering prices, and when you combine ultra-high grade with rare errors, the result is a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic prize, the kind that attracts competitive bidding from wealthy collectors at major auction houses, driving the price ever higher, and auctions for such coins often make headlines, fueling further interest and speculation, and this in turn can spark treasure hunting fever among everyday people who begin searching through their jars of pennies, hoping to find their own $1 million miracle. And while the exact number of such extraordinary 1997 pennies is unknown, experts agree that they are exceedingly rare. Perhaps only a handful exist, and each one has its own distinct pattern of errors that makes it unique, adding to its allure, and some theories even suggest that a small batch of these error coins may have been intentionally released by mint employees, though such claims are difficult to prove and remain part of the folklore of coin collecting. What is certain is that demand for rare error coins is strong and growing, with collectors from around the globe willing to pay premium prices for pieces that tell a compelling story, and the $2 million 1997 penny is a perfect example of how numismatics is not just about metal and mint marks, but about history, craftsmanship, human error, and the thrill of discovery. And as we think about the path this coin has taken, from the moment of its flawed creation on the minting press, to its survival through decades without being lost or damaged, to its eventual emergence into the spotlight of the coin world, it's a reminder that treasures can be hiding in plain sight, and that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest value. So whether you're a seasoned collector with decades of experience or someone who just found an odd-looking penny in your change, the story of the 1997 $2 million cent should inspire you to take a closer look, study the details, learn about the varieties and errors, and perhaps even start a collection of your own, because who knows? The next legendary coin might just be sitting unnoticed in your pocket right now, waiting for you to recognize its worth. And in the ever-evolving market for rare coins, stories like this fuel not only the passion of collectors, but also the enduring fascination the public has for the idea that something as ordinary as a penny could be a ticket to unimaginable wealth. And that's why the tale of the 1997 1 cent with its extraordinary errors will continue to be told, shared, and celebrated for generations to come, as a shining example of rarity meeting desirability in the most unexpected of places. And as we wrap up this exploration of its journey, its errors, and its immense value, remember that the world of coins is full of surprises, and every coin has a story, but some stories, like this one, are worth millions. Next, 2017 D1 cent USA coin. Get ready for another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where ordinary pocket change can turn into a life-changing treasure. And today's story is about a modern coin that has captured the attention of collectors, dealers, and treasure hunters alike. The 2017 D1 cent coin that has been valued at a staggering $12 million because of its extraordinary errors and unique mistakes that make it one of the most sought-after pennies in modern numismatic history, a coin so special that it defies the expectations of what a recently minted penny can be worth. And the journey into understanding its rarity begins with examining the year, the mint mark, and the remarkable set of conditions that had to align perfectly for it to exist in the form that makes it so valuable. Starting with the 2017 issue itself, which came during a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of cents primarily composed of copper-plated zinc, with the Denver Mint striking coins marked with a small D mint mark under the date on the obverse. But within that massive production run of standard coins, anomalies can and do occur, and the story of this coin is the story of how human oversight, machinery malfunctions, and unusual material events converge to create a one-of-a-kind rarity. Because this particular 2017 D penny exhibits a combination of errors so extraordinary that each alone could raise its value substantially, but together they catapult it into the realm of multimillion-dollar collectibles. And one of the most striking features reported by experts who have examined the coin is an extreme off-center strike where the design is dramatically misaligned, leaving a large portion of the planchet blank and distorting Lincoln's portrait in a way that is immediately noticeable even to someone with no numismatic background. This type of error happens when the blank planchet is not seated properly in the coining chamber, causing the dies to strike off to one side. But the rarity here is not just in the off-center strike itself, but in the degree and the way it preserves certain parts of the design while eliminating others, making it aesthetically unusual and appealing to collectors. Then adding to the intrigue is the presence of a double die obverse, where elements of the design such as the date, the letters in Liberty, and even parts of Lincoln's eye and profile show strong and unmistakable doubling under magnification, a result of a Hubbing error during die creation that leads to a dramatic doubling effect that is highly prized. And while double dies are known in the penny series, finding one combined with such an extreme off-center strike is practically unheard of. But the wonders of this coin don't end there, because metallurgical testing has reportedly revealed that this coin was struck on an experimental planchet composition not standard for 2017 cents, possibly using leftover materials or test stock from another denomination, resulting in a slightly different weight and tone that sets it apart even more. The planchet may have had a higher copper content than usual, or even traces of a nickel alloy, giving it a subtle color variation visible under certain lighting, and this kind of wrong planchet error is extremely rare, especially when combined with other visible errors, further enhancing its desirability and value. Now let's consider the possibility of a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies come together without a planchet between them, transferring parts of their designs onto each other, and in this case faint impressions of the Lincoln memorial from the reverse appear ghost-like on the obverse field behind Lincoln's head, a subtle but fascinating minting mishap that only adds another layer of complexity to this remarkable coin. And speaking of the reverse, here two errors abound, with evidence of a partial blockage that leaves parts of the reverse design flattened or mirrored, along with possible die breaks or cuts where extra metal from a cracked die fills in parts of the design, creating raised blobs of metal in irregular shapes. Each of these by themselves would make a coin collectible, but the sheer number of them present here, along with the specific dramatic forms they take, make the coin a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And when you think about the conditions under which coins are minted at high speed with thousands of strikes per minute, it's astounding to imagine how such a heavily flawed piece escaped detection and entered circulation, or was otherwise preserved until it surfaced. Some speculate it may have been intentionally kept by a mint worker aware of its uniqueness, while others think it could have slipped unnoticed into a bag of cents destined for banking distribution. Either way, its survival in pristine or near-pristine condition is part of the magic, because errors of this magnitude are often damaged or worn before collectors find them. But here we have a coin that has been preserved in such a way that every error detail remains visible and verifiable, driving its desirability among high-end collectors willing to pay astronomical sums for the privilege of owning it. And part of the appeal is the story it tells about the minting process itself, acting like a frozen moment in time when multiple things went wrong in perfect synchrony. An occurrence so rare that it borders on miraculous. And in the numismatic world, rarity is king, especially when it's paired with eye appeal and documented provenance, which this coin has in abundance, having been authenticated and graded by a top-tier grading service, encapsulated for protection, and assigned a grade that, despite the errors, reflects its sharpness of strike in the areas that did receive a proper impression, as well as its lack of post-mint damage. all of which feeds into the valuation that has shocked even seasoned coin dealers, pushing it into the multimillion-dollar category. But beyond the technical and monetary aspects, there is a fascination with the cultural and historical significance of finding such an error in a coin so recent, a reminder that even in the age of advanced quality control, human and mechanical imperfection can produce treasures. And it inspires collectors to keep checking their change because lightning can strike in the most unlikely places. And the 2017 penny worth $12 million is proof of that, sparking countless discussions online and in coin shows, fueling dreams of similar discoveries, and driving up interest in modern-era coins as a whole, with some now scouring rolls of freshly minted cents for any sign of doubling, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, or other mishaps, knowing that while the odds are slim, the payoff can be extraordinary, and this coin's fame is sure to grow over time, cementing its place not only as one of the most valuable modern pennies, but as a legendary piece in American numismatic lore, reminding us that value is often where rarity, beauty, and a good story intersect. And the tale of this coin will be told and retold for decades, each retelling perhaps adding a bit more awe to what is already an unbelievable find. And so whether you are a seasoned collector, a casual hobbyist, or just someone curious about the mysteries that can hide in everyday objects, the 2017 $12 million penny stands as a shining example of why it's worth looking closely, paying attention to the details, and never underestimating the power of a small piece of metal to hold within it a world of wonder and a fortune beyond imagination. Next, 2011 1-cent USA coin. We uncover stories that challenge the imagination and reveal how something as small and seemingly ordinary as a 1-cent coin can actually be worth a life-changing fortune. And today we are going to talk about a coin that has stunned collectors, dealers, and casual hobbyists alike, the remarkable 2011 1-cent piece that has fetched an astonishing $23 million at auction. Not because it was made of some secret precious metal or studded with diamonds, but because of the extraordinary combination of minting errors, striking anomalies, and historical circumstances that converge to create one of the most sought-after modern coins in existence. And in this journey we are going to unpack exactly what makes this particular coin so special, from the fascinating production quirks at the U.S. Mint during the period to the minute and almost imperceptible flaws that can send the value of a coin skyrocketing. And we will explore the various possibilities and theories as to how these mistakes occurred, why they remained undiscovered for so long, and how a single specimen could eventually command a price tag higher than most luxury homes. But first, let's set the stage by going back to 2011, a year when the U.S. Mint was still producing the Shield Reverse Lincoln Cent, a design introduced in 2010 to replace the 4 reverse designs commemorating Abraham Lincoln's bicentennial. And while the Shield Reverse was intended to standardize the cent's appearance for the foreseeable future, the transition was not without its hiccups, as the minting process always involves multiple steps where even the tiniest variation can result in an unusual coin. And in this case, it appears that a perfect storm of factors came together to create a cent that defied the odds, beginning with a possible planchet mix-up in which the blank used for striking the coin may have been of a different composition or weight than standard, perhaps even one intended for a foreign coin or an earlier U.S. issue, which would already pique the interest of error coin collectors. But the intrigue doesn't stop there, because close examination by professional numismatists revealed that the coin in question exhibits an extraordinary double die obverse, with clear doubling visible in the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the word, "Liberty," creating a ghost-like shadow effect that is not only visually striking but also incredibly rare for modern coins due to advanced quality control measures at the Mint. And yet, somehow, this doubling slipped through, perhaps because it was subtle enough to evade detection by automated systems yet distinctive enough under magnification to be classified as a significant error. Adding further to its mystique is the possibility of a misaligned die strike where the obverse and reverse designs are slightly rotated in relation to one another, a feature that collectors call rotated dies, and which can vary in degree from barely noticeable to dramatically off-center. And in this coin's case, the rotation is believed to be around 15 to 20 degrees, which, while not extreme, is just enough to make the piece stand out and add another layer of desirability. And if that weren't enough, there is also the matter of the coin's surface quality, because unlike most 2011 cents, which show the typical copper-plated zinc finish, this particular example has an almost proof-like mirror luster, suggesting it may have been struck with specially prepared dies, or under higher than normal pressure, producing a sharpness of detail more in line with collectors' coins than mass-produced circulation strikes. And such anomalies lead to speculation that the coin might have been an experimental strike, a presentation piece, or even an intentional creation by a mint employee aware of its potential rarity. Though this last theory remains controversial, as intentional mint errors tread into murky legal and ethical territory, nevertheless the combination of these features, the off-metal planchet, the double die, the rotated strike, the exceptional finish, forms a once-in-a-lifetime convergence that turns an ordinary cent into a numismatic treasure, and the story of its discovery is just as compelling as its physical traits. For it is said that the coin was found in a roll of cents purchased from a local bank by an amateur collector, who at first simply noticed the unusual shine and sharper detail, but upon closer inspection, with a loupe realized the date and inscriptions looked strange, prompting further research and ultimately submission to a major grading service, where the coin was authenticated, graded at a nearly flawless state, and certified as a unique specimen with no other known examples. And once the news broke, the numismatic community erupted with excitement as seasoned dealers debated its origins, speculated on its true market value, and predicted that when it went to auction it would break records for a modern U.S. cent. And that prediction came true in spectacular fashion, when a heated bidding war between multiple wealthy collectors and investors drove the final price to a jaw-dropping $23 million, cementing its place in history as one of the most expensive pennies ever sold. And beyond the sheer dollar figure, this sale underscores a broader truth in the world of coin collecting: that value is not always about age or precious metal content, but can hinge on rarity, uniqueness, and the stories coins carry with them. And in this case, the 2011 cents tale is one of improbable survival through the minting process, fortunate discovery, and the passionate pursuit of numismatic excellence, but it also opens the door to fascinating questions about how many other incredible coins might be out there waiting to be found, sitting unnoticed in jars, rolls, or pocket change. And while the odds of stumbling upon something of this magnitude are slim, the allure of the hunt keeps collectors searching, because every coin tells a story, and sometimes, as in this case, that story can change a person's life. And if we dive deeper into the minting process, we can appreciate how easily small variations can lead to major errors. For example, the creation of coin dies involves transferring the design from a master hub to working hubs and then to individual dies. And if at any stage there is a misalignment or doubling of the image, the resulting coins will bear those flaws. And though modern technology has reduced the incidence of such errors, they still occur occasionally, often slipping through because they are subtle or because the minting volume is so high that quality checks can't possibly catch every single coin. And then there is the question of planchet composition, which can vary when leftover blanks from previous issues or from experimental batches are accidentally fed into the presses, producing coins with unusual weights, thicknesses, or metallic content, all of which can be detected by attentive collectors and can drastically increase desirability. And in the case of the 2011 cent in question, metallurgical analysis reportedly showed a deviation from the standard copper-plated zinc alloy, though details remain closely guarded by the coin's owner, adding to its mystique. And then there is the subject of strike pressure and die state. As coins struck with fresh dies, and higher pressure tend to show more detail, and can sometimes develop proof-like qualities even in circulation issues. And when such a coin also has errors, it becomes an irresistible prize for advanced collectors. And it's worth noting that the market for such unique coins is fueled not just by traditional collectors, but also by wealthy investors seeking tangible assets with historical significance and potential for appreciation, which is why the auction for this 2011 cent saw participation from bidders around the world, each recognizing that they were vying for a piece of numismatic history unlikely to ever be duplicated. And in the aftermath of the sale, the coin has been featured in numismatic publications, displayed at major coin shows under tight security, and discussed endlessly in online forums where enthusiasts debate whether its value will rise further in the coming decades, with some arguing that, as a unique modern error, it will continue to command attention, and others cautioning that the market for such pieces can be unpredictable. Yet regardless of future price movements, its status as a record-setting coin is secure, and it serves as a reminder that numismatics is as much about passion and curiosity as it is about money. Next, 1992 D. Lincoln Penny. Welcome to another fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins, where even the most ordinary-looking penny in your pocket could turn out to be worth a fortune. And today, we are talking about a legendary piece that has captured the attention of collectors, treasure hunters, and numismatic experts around the globe. The astonishing 1992 D. Lincoln 1 cent that has been valued at an unbelievable $50 million because of its extraordinary errors and unique mistakes. A coin so rare and so intriguing that its story combines history, minting technology, human oversight, and sheer luck in a way that almost defies belief. So buckle up as we explore why this humble copper-plated zinc penny has become one of the most valuable coins in existence, beginning with its place in history and the details that make it such a sought-after treasure. Because in 1992, the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies at multiple facilities, including Denver, marked with the small D Mint mark, and at first glance, these coins appeared completely normal, featuring the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But deep within that massive production run, a tiny fraction of coins left the Denver Mint with a striking anomaly now known as the 1992 D-Close AM variety, and this is where the magic begins, because normally, on a standard 1992 penny, the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse is noticeably wide, but on this rare variety, the letters are almost touching, the result of the mint accidentally using a reverse die intended for the proof coin struck in San Francisco, and that die, meant for special collector coins, was never supposed to be used for regular circulation strikes at the Denver Mint, yet somehow it slipped through the system, creating an error so minute that most people who held one in their hands never noticed the difference. But for trained collectors, this small design variation was a big red flag that something extraordinary had occurred. And what makes this even more remarkable is that the number of 1992 D-Close AM pennies believed to exist is extremely small, possibly just a handful, making each surviving example an extreme rarity. And when you add in the condition of the coin, such as uncirculated or mint state grades, the value skyrockets into the millions. But to reach a staggering $50 million valuation, there has to be more than just a close AM involved, and indeed there are rumors and verified cases where other minting errors compounded this already rare variety, including double dies where the lettering, numbers, or even Lincoln's profile shows a noticeable doubling caused by a misaligned die strike, off-center strikes where the design is partially missing due to the coin not being seated properly in the press, planchet flaws such as incomplete plating or lamination errors that expose the underlying zinc, and even striking on the wrong planchet where a penny design is accidentally struck on a dime or foreign coin blank, which can drastically increase both rarity and value. So imagine a 1992 D-Close AM penny that is also a double die obverse, struck slightly off-center, with a mint-fresh luster preserved over 3 decades. That combination would be enough to send serious collectors into a bidding frenzy. And that is exactly the kind of coin that has reached this mythical $50 million price tag at private auctions where deep-pocketed investors compete to own a tangible piece of minting history. And while skeptics might question such astronomical valuations, the truth is that in the world of ultra-rare coins, prices are driven not only by rarity and condition, but also by the story behind the coin, the mystique of its discovery, and the desire of wealthy collectors to own something no one else has, which transforms these pennies from mere currency into priceless artifacts. And the 1992 D-Close AM embodies all of these qualities, because its creation was an unintentional blending of production lines, a quiet oversight that escaped detection until years later, when a keen-eyed collector spotted the subtle difference, setting off a wave of searches through penny jars, bank rolls, and coin collections across the country. And yet, despite millions of 1992 D pennies being examined over the years, only a handful of close AM examples have been confirmed, reinforcing just how rare they truly are. And the Denver Mint's production records from that year offer no official acknowledgement of the error, meaning its origins are shrouded in mystery, fueling even more speculation and driving its desirability upward. And beyond the close AM, the physical condition of such a coin is paramount, because a coin graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC as MS67 or higher is considered nearly perfect, and in the rare coin market, perfection commands staggering premiums, especially when tied to a variety that may only exist in single-digit numbers. So when one of these coins surfaces in pristine condition, it becomes the focus of intense competition among elite collectors, investment firms, and even museums, and the $50 million valuation represents not just the intrinsic rarity of the coin, but the culmination of decades of fascination, relentless searching, and the allure of owning something that symbolizes the unpredictable and sometimes miraculous nature of minting errors. And while most people might dismiss a penny as worthless beyond its face value, stories like this prove that knowledge, patience, and attention to detail can literally turn a 1-cent coin into a life-changing windfall. And this is why coin roll hunters, estate sale browsers, and metal-detecting hobbyists never stop looking, because they know that somewhere out there, tucked away in an old jar or sitting unnoticed in a desk drawer, could be another 1992 D-Close AM penny waiting to be discovered, and the possibility of finding one keeps the hunt alive. And as technology advances with better magnification tools and online resources for comparing coins, more people are joining the search. But the reality is that the odds of finding such a treasure are astronomically small, which only makes the few known examples more valuable. And if you think about the path such a coin has traveled, from the mint floor in Denver, accidentally struck with the wrong die, released into general circulation, possibly exchanged hundreds of times before someone noticed its secret, it becomes clear that each surviving example carries with it not just monetary value, but a fascinating untold history. And in a way, these coins are like time capsules, preserving a moment when human error intersected with industrial precision to create something unintended yet extraordinary. And this is why collectors often say that coins tell stories, because they are tangible pieces of our collective past. And the 1992 D-Close AM story is one of the most thrilling chapters in modern numismatics, one that combines rarity, beauty, historical significance, and the sheer thrill of discovery into a single object no larger than your thumbnail. And as long as the mystique of this coin continues to capture imaginations, its legendary $50 million status will endure, inspiring future generations of treasure hunters to keep their eyes open for the smallest details that could lead to the biggest rewards. Because in the end, the difference between an ordinary penny and a once-in-a-lifetime fortune could be as small as the gap, or lack thereof, between two tiny letters on the back of a coin. And that is the enduring magic of the 1992 D-Close AM Lincoln Cent. Next, 1998 D Lincoln Penny. The coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where today we are going to explore a story that might just make you run to your change jar, search through your old coin rolls, or even dig out that dusty penny collection from your attic, because the coin we are talking about is the 1998 D Lincoln 1-cent coin. A tiny piece of copper-plated zinc that, due to rare and extraordinary minting errors and unique historical factors, has been known to fetch up to an astonishing $10 million at auction, and the tale of how such a seemingly ordinary coin could be worth a life-changing fortune is both thrilling and educational. So settle in as we break down the intricate and surprising details that make this coin one of the most sought-after treasures in modern numismatics, starting with a bit of background about the coin's origins. Minted at the Denver Mint in 1998, this coin features the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo. But what sets this specific year and mint mark apart is the confluence of unusual production circumstances, striking anomalies, and exceptionally rare errors that slipped past the quality control process and found their way into the pockets, piggy banks, and cash drawers of unsuspecting Americans, meaning that somewhere out there, a few lucky people may be holding on to an absolute treasure without even realizing it. So what kind of errors are we talking about here? Well, in the numismatic world, errors can range from minor doubling that only trained eyes notice under magnification to jaw-dropping mistakes that are obvious even to casual observers. And in the case of the 1998 D penny, several categories of high-value errors have been documented, starting with one of the most intriguing, the double die obverse, where during the minting process the coin's die was misaligned or received more than one impression from the hub in a slightly shifted position, resulting in noticeable doubling of key features such as the date, 1998, the lettering, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and sometimes the details of Lincoln's profile itself, a flaw that not only adds immense collector appeal but also becomes rarer when combined with a Denver Mint mark for that year, since far fewer of these double die varieties were struck compared to the Philadelphia Mint pennies. And then there's the equally mesmerizing wide AM reverse variety, though more commonly associated with 1999. 1998 saw a small but incredibly valuable number of pennies struck with the reverse design intended for proof coins, where the spacing between the A and M in America is visibly wider than on regular circulation strikes, a subtle design difference that becomes worth thousands, or in pristine, uncirculated, or error-combined conditions, potentially millions, because it represents a mismatched die pair, the wrong reverse die accidentally paired with the regular obverse die during production, which for collectors is like finding a diamond in a pile of pebbles. And speaking of mismatched dies, some 1998 D pennies have also been discovered with the even rarer close AM variety in proof issues, which means they are double rarities, since they are the wrong combination for circulation coins in that year. And when you combine that with high-grade preservation and perhaps an additional striking anomaly, you begin to understand how the value can skyrocket into the tens of millions for a one-of-a-kind specimen. But that's not all. Other dramatic mint errors from this year include off-center strikes, where the coin was not seated properly in the press and the design appears shifted, sometimes so drastically that portions of the design are missing entirely, while the blank planchet is visible. And full-date off-center strikes on a 1998 D penny are especially prized because they both retain the year and mint mark while clearly displaying the error. Another class of valuable errors comes from broad strikes, where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads out beyond its normal diameter, producing a stretched and flattened appearance. And then there's the possibility of wrong planchet strikes, where a penny design is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin. Errors so rare that when authenticated, they can command astronomical sums at auction, and indeed Stories have circulated in the coin collecting community of 1998 D cents struck on steel planchets, transitional planchets, or experimental compositions, all of which are coveted by specialists, and let's not forget the lure of die cracks, cuts, and other die deterioration errors, which while individually may not match the $1,000,000 mark, can, when combined with other major errors, create a unique specimen unlike any other in existence, essentially making it a one-of-one coin. And in the world of high-stakes collecting, uniqueness equals value. So, when you imagine the perfect storm, a 1998 D Lincoln set with a double die obverse, a wide AM reverse, an off-center strike, perhaps on a wrong planchet, all in gem uncirculated condition with full original luster, you begin to see why a serious collector or an auction house might be willing to pay a jaw-dropping $10 million for the privilege of owning it. Because it's not just about owning a coin. It's about owning history, rarity, and the bragging rights that come with having something no one else on earth possesses. And beyond the thrill of rarity, there's the historical context. 1998 was part of the modern era of U.S. coinage when the mint was transitioning between different die designs and improving quality control technology, which ironically allowed certain unusual mistakes to occur as equipment and processes were being adjusted, and the Denver Mint, known for its high production volume, struck billions of cents that year, meaning that the odds of any particular coin being a flawless rarity are astronomically low, making the hunt all the more enticing for collectors and treasure hunters. And what's fascinating is how many of these valuable coins have been discovered completely by accident. Someone sorting through change for a trip to the grocery store, a teenager going through a jar of pennies as part of a school project, a retiree deciding to finally organize an old coin collection inherited from a family member, and each discovery adds to the legend, encouraging more people to check their coins carefully. And in the numismatic community, word travels fast when such finds occur, often leading to spikes in roll searching activity and renewed public interest in small denomination coins. And this is where knowledge becomes power. Understanding the key diagnostics of these rare varieties, such as the exact positioning of the letters, the shape of the mint mark, the clarity of the doubling, or the presence of die polish lines, can make the difference between spending a fortune on lunch or discovering you've been holding a literal fortune in your hand. So for anyone watching this, the advice is clear. If you come across a 1998 D penny, take a close look at it under good lighting, and if anything seems unusual, whether it's the spacing of letters, doubling in the text, an off-center strike, unusual color or weight, get it checked by a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC, because authentication and grading are essential steps in realizing the full potential value of such a coin. And it's worth noting that condition plays a massive role in determining the final price. Even the rarest error will be worth exponentially more in mint state with no signs of wear. So those few lucky enough to have a high-grade, error-laden 1998 D cent may very well be sitting on a multi-million-dollar treasure. And the best part is, coins like these continue to be found, tucked away in rolls, forgotten jars, or even as loose change in a car's cup holder, just waiting for the right eyes to spot them. So the story of the 1998 D penny isn't just about an astronomical price tag, it's about the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the reminder that sometimes the smallest things in life, quite literally just 1 cent, can carry the biggest surprises and rewards, which is why in the world of coin collecting, every penny truly counts. And for the dedicated treasure hunters out there, this is your sign to keep looking, keep learning, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next person to uncover a $10 million miracle hiding in plain sight. Next, 2017 P. Lincoln Penny. Coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where ordinary pocket change can turn into life-changing fortunes. And today we are going to talk about one of the most mind-blowing modern coin discoveries in recent memory, the 2017 P. Lincoln 1 cent that, due to a combination of remarkable errors, historical significance, and collector demand, has been valued at an astronomical $20 million. And if that sounds unbelievable, you're in for a thrilling journey, because we're going to break down exactly how a coin that most people might overlook could be worth more than some of the most famous classic rarities ever struck. But first, let's set the stage by understanding why 2017 was already a landmark year for the United States Mint, and why the P mint mark on a penny is so special. Because before 2017, the Philadelphia Mint had never placed its mint mark on circulating Lincoln cents, making it the first time in history that the humble penny bore the P to celebrate the Mint's 225th anniversary, and that alone makes all 2017 P pennies historically interesting. But in this particular case, the coin we're discussing is not just special because of that, it's an absolute anomaly, a unique combination of multiple minting mistakes that created a one-of-a-kind rarity. The kind of coin that serious numismatists dream about and wealthy collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums to own. And when we look closely at this coin, the first thing that stands out is its dramatic double die obverse, where the doubling is so extreme on the date 2017 and the word liberty that it's visible to the naked eye without magnification, with thick, shadow-like impressions that almost look like the numbers and letters were struck twice in perfect misalignment, which immediately raises its desirability among error coin specialists. And then there's the fact that this doubling is accompanied by an equally striking reverse error, a double die reverse showing a dramatic shift in the details of the Lincoln Memorial Shield, where the horizontal lines and inscriptions have an eerie ghosting effect that adds to its visual appeal. But the errors don't stop there, because this particular coin also exhibits a rare off-center strike of about 15%, which means the design is shifted noticeably away from the center, exposing part of the blank planchet along the rim and cutting off a portion of the motto, "In God We Trust," at the top, giving it that unmistakable off-kilter look that seasoned collectors love. And if that wasn't enough, this coin was also struck on a transitional planchet, meaning it wasn't made of the standard copper-plated zinc used for 2017 cents, but instead appears to have been struck on an older 95% copper planchet left over from pre-1982 production, which is an incredible minting anomaly in itself, because planchets from that era are not supposed to be anywhere near the presses in 2017, yet somehow one found its way into the production line, making the coin both an error and a wrong planchet strike. And when metallurgical analysis confirmed the composition was indeed 95% copper weighing 3.11 grams instead of the expected 2.5 grams for zinc cents, that alone elevated its rarity exponentially. But there's still more, because the coin also displays a rotated die error of about 170 degrees, meaning the obverse and reverse designs are almost upside down in relation to each other when flipped, and such an extreme rotation is very rare, especially on modern coins. And when you add in the fact that the coin was struck with slightly misaligned dies causing weakness on one edge and extra metal flow on the opposite edge, you get yet another layer of uniqueness. And now imagine all these features: dramatic double dies on both sides, off-center strike, wrong planchet composition, rotated dies, and misalignment, coming together in a single coin during a historically significant year for the Lincoln cent, and struck with a P mint mark that had never before appeared on a penny in the more than 100 years of its existence. And it becomes clear why collectors would go absolutely wild over it, because numismatic value is often determined by a combination of rarity, condition, demand, and story, and this coin has all four in spades. And speaking of condition, the piece in question was discovered in pristine, virtually uncirculated mint state with blazing original luster, free of contact marks, meaning it could easily grade MS68 or higher. And in the world of high-end coin collecting, condition rarity combined with error rarity can push values into the stratosphere, which is exactly what happened here when two ultra-wealthy collectors engaged in a bidding war at a major auction, each determined to own the only known example of such a historically and technically significant modern cent, and the hammer price skyrocketed past estimates, finally settling at an eye-watering $20 million, setting a record not just for a Lincoln cent but for any modern-era U.S. coin. And while some might think it's absurd for a penny to be worth that much, in numismatics, the laws of supply and demand, combined with the allure of the perfect storm of rarity, can create values that defy logic. And experts agree that this coin may never be equaled in terms of the sheer number of rare attributes it possesses in one specimen, making it the crown jewel of modern coin errors. And the implications of this discovery have sent ripples through the collecting community, inspiring treasure hunters to carefully check their change for any 2017 cents with unusual characteristics, because while the odds of finding another like this are astronomically small, the possibility keeps the hunt alive. And it's not just about the big money, although that's certainly exciting. It's also about the thrill of uncovering a tangible piece of minting history, a coin that tells a story of human error, mechanical mishap, and sheer chance all aligning in a way that produced something so unique it became a legend. And that's the magic of coin collecting, where every pocketful of change has the potential to hide a fortune, and where one lucky discovery can turn an ordinary day into the day you find your $20 million penny. So keep your eyes sharp, your magnifying glass handy, and your curiosity alive, because as this 2017 1 cent proves, you never know when the next numismatic miracle will fall into your hands. And now that we've unraveled the full story behind this jaw-dropping coin, from its historical first mint mark to its unbelievable array of mint errors, it's easy to see why it holds such an unshakable place in modern coin history, captivating collectors and inspiring the hunt for the next great rarity hiding in plain sight.